when the education route and the GP routes and all the other support routes that are there to help a child through depression and suicidal awareness and difficult times, and with the neurodiversity, when that has all failed them, you don't need to be qualified to be a parent that helps your own child. And that is my take on things, is stepping up as parents and taking responsibility and learning and supporting them. Because when everything else fails, parents are the one person who's there for them, not 6 months down the line in an appointment, by which time the problem's no longer relevant and they don't want to talk and they put up barriers to strangers. So I suppose really it would help to go back to the beginning a little bit, wouldn't it? I'm jumping the gun a bit.
You're fine, Key. You're absolutely right, and that's a great start to this podcast. So let's go back to the beginning, Key. Key, what was it like when your son was born and the tensions were high and your own exhaustion from not being able to understand or help in the moment and not. Let's go back before we move on to that. Let's go back to the beginning. Name your son. He was born. Talk to me about that story.
Yeah, certainly. Well, my son, Matthew, he was born back in 94, sorry, that was my daughter, 1994. And right from very young, he was one of these babies that just cried a lot. And it was always when he first woke up, never, not the rest of the time, but every time he woke up, he'd cry for half an hour, and feeding him, changing him, cuddling him, nothing soothed him. And it was always a half an hour and then he'd settle down. And it just seemed unusual. I'd already had a daughter, so I had that comparison. But there was also something else. And it was when he was just 10 weeks old that I said to my mum, it's almost as if he's autistic. Because I couldn't bond with him as a baby and I couldn't get eye contact. Now, when you, as a mother, you're bonding with your child, they look at you when they're feeding, and he never looked at me. And I knew about autism as in classic, I call it classic autism, but some people jump on it for different titles. But I knew of it in terms of the mental health institutes in which my father had worked, and, movies like The Rain Man.